Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 181. I'm your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, along with my brother, King of Wholesale, Jamil Damji.
How you doing? I'm awesome, brother. How are you today?
I am awesome. I read, so I got a lot of training as a real estate agent coming up. And one thing that we were pounded over and over and over was attitude, approach, and expectations. Attitude, approach, and expectations. And what it really boils down to is, number one, mindset right off the bat, right? If we're going to go out there, we're going to be super proactive. We're going to go out there and solve problems of property owners out there. The attitude has to be spot on to go out there and really serve, right? The approach is, what model are you going to follow, right? Are you going to do it with marketing? Are you going to do it with prospecting? Are you going to do it with referrals? And then the expectations are based on your results. Are you tracking everything that you're doing on a daily basis? Are you really focusing on the income producing activities as opposed to just staying in kind of paralysis by analysis or trying to be perfect or really staying in an education mode? You really track what your results are, and that's what sets your expectations. What do you think?
I mean, I think that there is nothing truer than looking at it from that perspective. To give you an example, I was on a call today with some of the Astro Blaster folks, and incredible people there. Nice blend of Astro Flipping, subto, and TTP in one new community of people that are using that technology.
Yep.
So it's nice to see the different approaches and hear people's perspectives. I had a gentleman.
That's being proactive. That's reaching out to agents.
Correct.
That's not reaching out to property owners.
Correct.
Right.
Direct to agent
approach.
And so the approach is important, because one person who had been in there and he'd been submitting offers, but wasn't getting any traction on the submissions he was making. And I was like, let's unpack what they look like. And so he's literally just emailing agents and saying, if you got a $200,000 listing, he's like, hi, my name is such and such on this property. I'll give you 150. And so, again, I respect the approach. It's action, and he's trying, right? But I said, okay, well, let's look at this situation from the perspective of the real estate agent. Let's put yourself in the shoes of the agent. All of a sudden, you get an email from somebody you don't know. You've never met this person. They've given you a random offer on a property that you have a listing agreement with a client.
Yeah.
That's substantially lower than the expectation you set with your client, right?
Yeah.
So now, let me ask you this. What do you think the likelihood of that person is going to be to go to their client and say, hey, I don't know who this person was. Never met him in my life. Got an offer.
Yeah.
$75,000 below list price. I think we should take it.
Right. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to have, even if they think it's a decent deal.
It's not going to happen. There was no rapport.
Well, and listen, just coming from a real estate agent side, if people don't reach out to you and you just get a blind offer, I always feel like it's fluff. It's just, okay, they're just fishing to see what the response is going to be, and then they're going to adjust their price once we get further down the road. But you need to communicate with those property. I mean, is that the way that that's set up, is so that you can have a conversation before you make the offer?
Of course. And so you want to understand, like, I've talked about this before on Hotline and on videos we've done. stuff we've done together is always finding alignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the approach when you want an attitude, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
my attitude is alignment, what does that mean? That I'm going to be on your side. I'm going to align with you. Okay, approach. What's the approach? I'm going to approach it from the perspective of you. What if I'm you?
Mm-hmm.
How do I put my mind in your mind to see what do I want as the real estate agent? And then I'm going to execute
Mm-hmm.
based off of understanding those philosophies and those perspectives. And I'm telling you that if you can come into it from the point of view of the person you're working with, from the perspective and the attitude of alignment, then yes, this doesn't become a numbers game anymore. Okay, this doesn't become random acts of luck. This becomes intentional business development.
And you can set expectations.
Of course.
I love it. I love it. Guys, welcome. This is a live show. I saw that comment on this is a live show. We're here for 3 reasons. Really, 1, to give you the instruction to be able to go out and implement this week so that you can go and find an incredible opportunity. 2, for you to squat up in the comments section. Make sure that you're posting where you're doing business, where you live, so that you can find like-minded people that will help you and squat up with you so that you don't have to do this alone. And 3, we're here to answer your questions. All right. So the third one doesn't happen unless there's questions in there. We will be starring them and answering them as we go on. The show is 90 minutes, and in about 10 minutes, the incredible Pace Morby will be jumping on and joining us remote. He's driving around. I don't know. He's in his truck somewhere. I think pulled over by the police.
I saw he got a ticket. Poor guy. I don't know Pace to be a speeder.
No.
So I don't know how
7 miles over.
Yeah. Was that it?
Yeah.
I didn't read it. Dang, dude, that was an officer who really just had nothing else to do today.
Oh, well, middle of nowhere.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But I think he might be in Salt Lake City. Maybe. Okay. I think that's what I noticed. So yes, we'll be joined by Pace in a few minutes here. Safe travels, brother. Drive carefully. No more than 5 miles an hour over the speed limit is what I typically won't cross.
Yeah.
You know, 5 miles is my.
I set it at 7. I did. I came down from Flagstaff this morning, right?
And you set it at 7
at 75,
over?
I put it to 82. I put it in cruise control and just
and at 7 over, you feel safe?
I do.
Do you still feel safe after hearing this from Pace today?
Well, I feel like he was in the middle of Idaho, in the middle of nowhere. I think it's different. I think it's
and
different.
New River, Arizona is not.
I think there's more action in New River.
Okay.
I think there's way more action. Anyway, let's get back to it, guys. When you're getting started out, to really get out there and really start building your pipeline of opportunities, it comes down to really 3 buckets. And we mentioned it before. Are you going to pick up the phone and be proactive, right? Are you going to go out there and call people all day long, whether they be agents or whether they be property owners? Or do you have a budget to be able to do marketing? Or maybe you have some expertise when it comes to pay-per-click and when it comes to Facebook ads, and you feel like you can find some really great opportunities that way. Or putting out bandit signs. A lot of people get started with bandit signs. A lot of people get started with just knocking on doors. I mean, it just depends. But you've got your prospecting, you've got marketing, and then you've got referrals, calling and building relationships with people that know, like, and trust you and understand that you buy houses. I think that that's such a strong, powerful statement, that I buy houses. You know what I mean? I mean, when you become the person that, I got to go to this person because they buy houses, you're going to find some opportunities that way. I mean, whether it be from friends or family or for people that just inherited, neighbors, whatever it is, and especially the people that are in the business, real estate agents and investors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your reputation will precede you, especially in a market like we have right now, where you've got, interest rates creeping at 7% and leverage just becoming harder and harder and harder to handle and deal with, right? Real estate agents are looking for cash solutions. In fact, it just so happens that even retail sales right now are so much of retail purchasing is happening via cash that I
want to talk about
that it's really becoming a thing where it's just like, my goodness, like real estate agents are starting to really understand the value of a cash buyer. They're really you're even a retail buyer today is buying like an investor would. So understanding the nuance and understanding how to present yourself, it's always interesting. Another thing that I want to say this before we get into some questions or you respond.
Yeah.
When we're talking to real estate agents, even when we're talking to homeowners.
Yeah.
Remember this. You're not selling anything. You're not selling anything. And so when we get on the phone call and we start with, "Hi, my name is Jamil Damji. How are you doing today?" What does it sound like I'm about to do? Sell you something, right? It sounds like
Here comes the pitch.
Here comes the pitch. Guys, we are not selling anything. Remember, we're on the buy side. The buy side is the client. The buy side is the side that brings the money to the table. You control the deal. You bring the liquidity to the situation, not vice versa. You are in control. You get to decide if you close. You get to decide if you wire. You get to decide if you sign. Why do you think it's the buyer who gets to decide if they want to cancel or not during the inspection period and not the seller? Why is the seller not given the same right? Because the buyer controls the deal. Okay, it's set up that way. So when we're making these relationships, when we're having these conversations, exercise the confidence of that position in the deal. You're the buyer. You got the money. Act like it.
Well, who determines value?
The buyer.
Every time?
The buyer.
Every time. Listen, it's not a real estate agent. It's not the market. It's not an appraiser. It's not the seller, certainly. It's not the government. It's a ready, willing, and able buyer determines the value. You determine the value of the property. It's absolutely incredible and powerful.
And even in creative finance, this is an interesting thing, right? Because, we look at it from, and again, I don't do a lot of creative deals, but I, of course, get to hear so many folks that do them. And I love listening to Pace talk about them. And even in those, right, when you're talking about maybe what somebody would presume or per se, hey, maybe there's a low equity deal. Okay, or there's no equity or whatever, right? Maybe even slightly upside down. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
In this respect, you're the buyer and you determine value.
Right.
If the buyer says, hey, look, I don't give a crap how much this property is worth or how much is owed on this property. I know that the payment on this property is $1,500. I know that I can rent it for $2,000. I have a $500 a month arbitrage difference here. Doesn't matter to me what this property is worth because I'm the buyer and I get to decide what's valuable to me.
Yeah. And if you want to make a fortune, you either get a wholesale price or a wholesale terms.
Right.
That's the absolute truth. But the thing I want to harp on, and I talked about it last week, and I want to just shout it from the rooftops everywhere, is I really think we're in the next 3 years is going to be fantastic for wholesaling. And the reason it's going to be fantastic for wholesaling is because it's going to be bananas for flippers.
Yeah.
Who's going to never in U.S. history has there been 12 years where interest rates were 2, 3, 4%. That's a whole generation right there, right? From 2010 to 2022, we were 2, 3, 4%, right? Now it's 7%. They're not going to roll that back in the next 6 months.
No. When they roll back, where does it even go to? 5.
Right.
When things go back to like, oh, that's a good rate, we're going to be at 5, 5.5. Yeah, like guys, 2, 3, 4% loans, those were artificial. They are not something that the market ever gives us unless we all have the flu, which is essentially the reason why we had 2 and 3 and 4% rates. They were trying to prop the economy up because we had a global pandemic. That's what caused 2, 3, 4% rates.
Well, and the economic collapse of 08.
Well, yeah, but again, that quantitative easing was starting to stop.
Yeah.
They were on the upswing on that. That was going away. And then all of a sudden we all get the flu.
We had 10 years and then boom, 2020.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is if there is so much frozen inventory, Jamil.
Big time.
Because who wants to give up that 2, 3, 4% interest rate?
No.
So now you've got people that are going to be,
unless they're in financial distress or there's something going on where they can't afford it.
This is what's going to hit the market, right? People selling their second homes. People selling rentals,
yep.
People that are in distressed situations, people that are going to downsize, right? Because they typically, when you downsize at that point, you buy your next property cash.
Right.
It's going to be your live there for the rest of it type. And you've got flippers. And flippers are making a mint right now, bro.
They are.
Multiple offers. If you look at the inventory, we've got 1.1 million less properties are going to be sold this year than last year. 1.1 million. They put a freeze on a bunch of the building, so you don't have new home built. I mean, it's going to be an absolute. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be perfect.
Did
for
I
us.
tell you that
it's like the perfect storm.
That Airbnb I bought down the road from me?
Yeah.
The agent who sold it to me called me and said, I have a $1.8 million offer for you to take right now.
Uh-huh.
Like, dude,
and what'd you buy it for?
$950. And I'm talking about, this is like from December of 2022 to today. Not enough time for it to have gone up $950,000.
Mm-hmm. Supply and demand. That's what people don't understand. People think that it's just appreciation and it's interest rates, and it's supply and demand.
At the end of the day, that's what it is.
It's supply and demand.
Yep.
More people still want to buy properties. They're still going out there. That's still the American dream.
Yep.
And there's more buyers than there are properties out there. And because of that, flippers are going to do fantastic. And that makes me so happy because we give them all their deals.
Correct.
We're their supplier.
Yep.
They're not going out there and marketing.
I'm even at this point right now, I'm starting to really look at, okay, how can I robustly start my fix and flip business back up again? Because I paused.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started adding a couple here, and I've got a few things going right now, but and some new construction that I did and continuing to work on right now, which I'm enjoying a lot. But really, though, the fix and flip game is turning the corner, and right now, especially if you have access to good opportunities through relationships with wholesalers, or you yourself are finding those opportunities, it's an incredible time. Hey, there he is.
What's that?
We're talking about this incredible market we're in.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love it.
Where are you at right now?
I just pulled up to St. George I got like 40 people here in St. George. I did 3-hour heads up. I got like 7 or 8 Astro, 5 or 6 TTPs, some subto, and everybody's hanging out in a park. It's literally 109 degrees and everybody's hanging out for an hour.
My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness. 109 degrees in Utah? That's a heat wave, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's in St. George. So it's a little warmer here than normal, but I should have looked at the temperature before I decided to do an outside meetup.
Well, there's not flashing lights behind you, is there?
Oh, do you see me get pulled over today? That was about 700 miles ago. I've done 700 push-ups since then. Oh my gosh, my life. Wow. Good to see you guys. What are you guys talking about? Fix and flips or wholesale?
We're talking about both. We're talking about how there's so much frozen inventory that fix and flippers are making a fortune right now, and will continue to as long as this interest rates. Never in history have we had 12 years where interest rates are 2%, 3%, 4%. People are locked in.
Well, they said anywhere between 70 to 85% of current mortgages right now are in that range, right? Which is, again, it's gonna say any seller, unless they're in financial distress, which is great for creative. But when there's no distress or no motivating factor, and no like financial situation that's causing it, those people are becoming landlords.
Yeah.
Right. And they're sucking inventory away from the market. Right. So it's a very interesting situation. And you know, again, wholesale will kill it, creative killing it, fix and flip killing it, and people are still out there with the story. Hey, is it a good time to get involved in real estate investing?
Yeah. Can I tell you something that we're testing out right now?
Sure.
So, you know, Spencer Caldwell and his model,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
Really curating all the other deals, getting permission from other wholesalers to put out their properties to his list, right? So we started doing that. And it's like multiple, like 15, 20 properties a day that we're putting out, morning, afternoon. The response is bananas. On properties I would have never thought to sell. Is this what you've been doing like your whole career? Just finding out and really understanding what all these different niche buyers are looking for, and then just finding it for them?
Yes.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Why do you think our volumes are what they are?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I understand that, but is there something about, because you talk about picking up the phone, calling the buyers with your dispo team, right?
Correct.
And really just bringing those deals to them, not getting greedy with it, just getting them sold, getting them through. Is there a reason why you do that as opposed to just putting it on a master list like Spencer does every day and just see what happens and then start reacting?
Yeah, well, I think that's just the difference is when you don't control it. For instance, like Spencer doesn't control the house,
right?
He'll get the house from us or another wholesaler somewhere, right? So when you don't have control of the deals, time is of the essence, right? You've got an option, you have the right to market it, but you know, other people are marketing it as well.
Sure.
And so what I don't why we get so proactive and why we go through the curation process and hand deliver deals to buyers is because they're doing what Pace is doing right now. They're in the world, right? Pace is when Pace is contracting, you think at the time, if when he's fix and flipping and involved in the contracting himself way back in the day.
Yeah.
How much time did Pace have to get into his phone's email list and start looking at deals when it's just flooded with so much nonsense?
Yeah.
Right. There's just so many things to look at, and then comping everything and checking everything. And no, what he would do is Pace made a relationship with me.
Right.
He made a relationship with Spencer. He made a relationship with other people and said, okay, bring me opportunities. I want to see them. He made Ryan LaRue, the dude that brought him the deal that him and I were fighting over.
Mm-hmm.
That deal, same situation, hand curated, brought right to Pace, also me, but hand curated and delivered so that the deal could get done because nobody's going in their phones and looking.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why.
Mm.
That's it. It's because
I
it's
feel like-
laziness.
I feel like that's one of the most non-understood. I don't even think it's misunderstood because I don't think it's communicated enough. And what I mean by that is the people who are buying the deals, the fix and flippers and the buy and holders, they have their hands so full with managing contractors. If I asked how many people have been screwed over by a contractor, 100% of people raise their hand. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're fixing and flipping and you're buying and holding, people think that it's a real estate job. And I guess it is, but really what it is a babysitting job of another human adult called a contractor. You are babysitting and you are tracking down parts and dealing with permits, dealing with the city and regulations and people not showing up, people taking money from you, somebody screwing up, somebody, whatever. They don't have the time to even be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they literally don't even if they wanted to be lazy, they're like, dude, I'm getting home at 10 o'clock at night. Every fix and flipper I know and every buy and holder I know that is even remotely aggressive is so overwhelmed that they are just like, I need somebody to hand pick and curate my deals like a Keegley does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't look at email. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't look at email blasts. People are like, oh, I'll just blast that out to my list. Guys, my personality, I'm an aggressive person. If I got to look at my email to find a deal, it ain't happening. When I buy a deal from Keegley, it's because Ronald has texted me and then called me. He interrupts my day because he understands his client. Okay. So Ronald is one of Jamil's disposition guys and he understands me. And if he understands me, it means he understands 99% of their other clientele, which is they're busy. They're not going to stop and look at our email blast because that's not really the way the deals get done. The way deals get done is you text them and then you call them and you say, I know this is a perfect deal for you. And you feel like the person selling the deal to you knows you. They know your family. Even Ronald, I know I'm a social media guy, but before I was like a big social media guy, people at Keegley followed me on social media and were like, hey, that flip that you did last month on blah, 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 we've got another one. And I know you'd love to pick the same color shutters to make this thing pop just like you made that thing pop. Like that's how curated a Keegley disposition manager is with their sellers, or I'm sorry, with their buyers like me, because they understand the opportunity. So especially right now, like Brent, you were talking about inventory being frozen.
Mm-hmm.
The people who understand how to curate deals and find deals, it is, you're just raking in cash. It is the greatest opportunity for wholesalers and people that are aggregating deals. And Jamil, I imagine your guys' numbers are up across the board the last couple of months. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been real. Actually, it's been I was like, what's happening? Because 2 weeks ago we had a $600,000 week,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little insane,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
when we have $1 million month,
Yeah.
I'm like, things are good.
Yeah.
Right. When you have a $600,000 week, then it's like, what is happening? Right. And so I was like, I went to dive in. I'm like, let me understand what's going on here. Why, not that I have any against it. I love that we made so much money, but what's happening? Are we, is there something going on in the market I need to know? And then I was getting an understanding from the dispo people, like, bro, it is crazy.
It's
Our volume right now of people wanting to have us send them opportunities, and then when we text them, they respond, and then when we call, they answer, because that's a big metric.
That's
right?
the indicator.
When you text, they respond. When you call, they answer.
Yep.
It's not how many texts, it's not how many dials, it's how many responses and actual conversations and replies I got that we want to track.
Mhm.
We have never had such high connection rates as we are having right now, which is leading to the volume and leading to the business. And so it's, everything Pace just said, absolutely true. Everything that you're saying, absolutely true. This is probably one of the most incredible, phenomenal times for wholesalers, creative finance investors, fix and flippers, buy and hold investors, anybody who's playing in the real estate space right now. If you understand the model that you're working in, whatever that model is, because there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat.
Mhm.
If you can figure out your model, you are going to do well.
Massive imperfect action. That's who wins. It doesn't matter if you want to go and build a portfolio, if you want to go and do creative deals, if you want to go and flip, if you want to go and wholesale. It's whoever's going to take the most massive imperfect action.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I am telling you, the dumbest people make the most money. And I don't mean they have the lowest IQ. I mean, they just don't let anything stop them from taking action. They're not stuck in a book. They're not stuck listening to a podcast or watching YouTube all day. They're picking up the phone and having conversations, or at least texting somebody and starting a conversation, or at least going to a meetup, or at least going down that road of actually doing a deal. And that's who really makes the difference in this market.
Well said,
Massive,
bro.
imperfect action, attitude, approach, expectation. Let's go. We're
Yeah,
only 6 minutes into the show. This is going bananas.
I've been reading up a lot and listening to a lot of podcasts about artificial intelligence and what are things going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. And it's interesting to think about, like, forget about everything else, but think about just housing. How will the requirement of housing change? Right? We're going to go to smaller houses. People are going to be like living in these, we're going to be like Japan. It's going to be like little teeny houses so people can afford. I mean, you already see it all over. I'm driving all over the Western United States. You see all these small, tiny home developments. San Antonio has this new development that the average home, single family home, is 900 square feet. Single family home is 900 square feet in their new home developments, right? So they're figuring out how to make smaller homes so that people can afford these things, because real estate's continuing to go up. So I'm doing all this research and I'm listening. I'm like, man, AI is going to take our jobs. AI is going to, and then I started thinking, no, it's not. The people, here's what's going to change. People who understand how to have community and work with other human beings. Human beings have always needed other human beings to get business done. Okay. You always need business. You always need human beings to get business done. Real estate is a human business, right? And so AI implemented properly is going to be bananas for wholesale and for fixing and flipping and for all of those things. But at the end of the day, these houses still have to physically be touched by another human being. Somebody in the service industry, a painter, baseboard installer, carpet guy, tile guy, plumber, concrete guy, all of that stuff will never in our lifetimes be replaced by a robot. It physically is impossible to have somebody come in and replace a plumber, right? To identify a very unique situation and to get into a nook and a cranny that only somebody could crawl into. That's not going to be fixed by AI. Okay. This is one of these businesses. Real estate is one of these businesses that, although it does evolve and it morphs, right? We're going to go small homes and we're going to do all sorts of things change. There is not a better business on planet Earth than this business.
Mm-hmm.
Not now, and never in the future will there be a better business than wholesaling, fixing and flipping, and buying and holding real estate. It is so unbelievably AI proof that we will require human beings to run this business and human beings to live in houses. There are a lot of things will change in our world, but AI will not disrupt to the point of ruin the real estate business. It will only improve it. And so I just look at this business and I'm like, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, this is the business that will only improve as technology improves. And I'm just so excited that this is something that we all figured out at a young age. And I say young age because at 45, Jamil, what are you, 42, 43?
44.
Okay, 44. So we're all very young. Think about the people I get to meet, and Jamil, you get to meet, and Brent, you get to meet, that figured out that real estate was the thing at 82 years old. And they're coming into our mentorships and saying, I'm not doing this for me anymore. I'm doing this for my grandkids. And so I'm just so grateful that we figured this out. I'm so grateful for Wholesale Hotline. I'm grateful for my friendships. I'm grateful for this little bit of knowledge that we have. And I'm also grateful for what's currently going on in this market, is that it's unprecedented. None of what's going on right now has ever happened. That the interest rates have trapped people from selling their houses, and it only amplifies the people who have pain, and it has made it easier for us to identify the people with pain. And it is just so fun to figure this new wave out. Like real estate's this wave that every 6 months there's a new kind of morphing of it and a new way to do things or a new skill you get to learn. And I'm so excited for the people that are learning this business right now. You guys are so freaking lucky. So freaking lucky.
Well, I think AI is going to be phenomenal for us. Either way, it's in 2004 when I joined my first brokerage, they still had a huge folder that had every listing in it. And I remember the old school agents hated the new MLS on the internet, and they hated all this other stuff.
They wanted the binder.
They would only use the binder, right? They would only use the binder. Can you believe that? And then you see what the MLS has done and what websites have done and the internets and the World Wide Web has done for our business. It's only good stuff. You know what I mean? If we're going
humans
out
have always
there,
been forced to adapt.
That's it,
right? Like when we went from when we went into the Industrial Revolution, for instance, right? And we started the assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guys, we're just seeing another shift like that.
Well, industrial age.
Yep.
Then we went to the information
age.
Now we're social age.
Yep.
And you guys have done, I mean, I have learned, I love you guys so much, Pace and Jamil. You guys have taught me so much about community and about building a real tribe and about really pouring more in than anybody else. And I think, as you see, you can get everything that you and I and Pace do online for free. Everything. All the knowledge, all of the you could piece it together. You can listen to it. You can get every contract, and you can get you can overcome any objection. You can do all these things and find out all the knowledge base. But what you're missing is the real main ingredient, and that's people doing amazing things around you.
Yeah.
It's the cheerleading. It's the support. It's not being on an island by yourself. It's people pushing each other and keeping each other accountable and really just growing and evolving and changing like as a community. And that's the age that we're in. We're in the social age without a doubt. And you guys opened up my eyes to that big time. I was doing one support call. I would do 2 support calls on the phone a month. Now we do 40 hours a week of support calls because of you guys, and everybody's better for it. So your vibe attracts your tribe for sure. And so anybody that's interested in getting into real estate, don't do it alone. Just don't. It's so much more fun doing it with friends. So much more fun.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, again, I learned from Pace, right? I was watching him go and really do something that I looked at and I was like, wow, I love this. I love the ability to look. Being known is cool.
Yeah.
Being loved because you've created a community and people's entire worlds are changing. That's transformative.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in cool anymore. I don't want to be around people that are just doing cool things.
No.
I want to be around people that are transforming the globe, right? And I between the two of you, and the 3 of us collectively, I feel like we in this little niche of wholesale real estate and creative finance, it's what we're accomplishing. At least that's the intention and the spirit,
Yeah, and I've always been that. Now I see things through a different filter, and I think a lot of people do. Like, what is the community like? Not the superstar. You know what I mean? Does the superstar show up? Does the superstar, like, anybody could buy fame? I mean, to a degree, Grant Cardone bought fame. He spent $20 million a year in Facebook. You're going to be known. You know what I mean? And you can raise money and you can do all these things. Where's the community? Where's the community that you build? And I think that's where everything's at. And I think that's why Pace gets to speak on all the biggest stages now. talking about that. Is that right, Pace? Would you agree with that?
I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think one of the reasons why I get to speak on really big stages and I'm now turning down a lot of opportunities is definitely because of community, big part of it. I was talking to Jerry. I was on his back patio last night. I went up to Kalispell to pick up my truck and trailer, which is why I'm driving back home. And Jerry says, in all my years of doing this, I've never met somebody so good at connecting with every single person they meet and networking with people. And then Jerry, if you guys know his story, he had a guy that took advantage of him back like 15 years ago. And so Jerry kind of just shelled up. And it wasn't until Jamil and I were really pulling Jerry out of his shell the last like 4 or 5 years that Jerry came back on the scene. Instead of just going, I'm the YouTube guy, he's now out front and center. And the reason he said he did that is because he had these two friends, Jamil and Pace, were giving to him abundantly. And for the first year, this was so funny to talk to Jerry. He was like, this isn't normal. This is not the recipe that I have ever seen in my life. And he was suspect of us. And it wasn't until year 2 and year 3 and year 4, he's just like, dude, these guys keep on giving. Like, I'm sitting on his back patio. Let me connect you with this guy, and this guy. You need this person to help you with your software product. And he's like, how do you know these people? And I tell him, and he goes, I just think you're one of the best connectors on planet Earth. And I was like, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. So I get asked to speak on a lot of stages. I think because we abundantly give, and like what Jamil is saying, we don't want to be the cool guys anymore. We want to be part of things where people are transforming the world, and connect with those people, and then share all of our resources as quickly and rapidly as we possibly can. In fact, sharing your resources as fast as possible is a great filtering device. And Jamil and I have had to carve people out of our lives the last couple of years that did not get through that filtering device. And the filtering device is giving and connecting and giving and connecting. And, 80% of the people get through one filter, and then 50% of the people get through the next filter. And then before long, you're connected to the highest level people on planet Earth. And guess what they are? Super helpful and generous, and they're sharing resources, and they're living abundantly. And next thing you know, you're being connected and put on stages that you're just like, wait, how am I on this stage? How am I speaking for Tony Robbins right now? How do I get a text message from Tony Robbins saying thank you? And that's just, I think, a fruit of all the work that Jamil and I told his kid, they go, how did it start for you? And I go, Jamil and I doing Pace and Jamil Do America is where it really kicked off. It was, let's take what we're doing here locally and let's take it nationally, because nobody else is doing this, and share abundantly and do it so much that people around the globe, if Jamil, you'll never forget this stuff, but you help so many people that the people that are running the meetups and the RIAs, they say, okay, what are you selling and how can I make half of what you're selling? And we go, we're not selling anything. And they were so blown away and taken aback of like, are you kidding me? Like, every time I run one of these meetups, I try to extract about $300,000 from the room. And we're like, no, dude, we paid to be here. We're grateful to be here. And so you do that long enough and genuine enough and true to yourself long enough that people notice and they go, wow, this is actually the way business is supposed to be done. And so it takes a while to crack that egg. It took 5 years for us to crack the egg. And finally people start calling us and saying, can I get a look underneath your hood and see why you guys are doing what you're doing? Because obviously it's successful and you guys are buying deals within your community. And I was listening to Brad Lee podcast on my way from Provo down to St. George about the last 2 hours. And there's a girl on there named Kinsey. She just invested in the subto fund, and she brought up my name on Brad Lee's podcast. And Brad Lee then goes, oh my gosh, if I had nothing to do all day long, I would hang out with Pace and Jamil every single day. Those are the coolest, most genuine guys. I love them so much. Dude, you don't get that way by not just sharing resources and being abundant all the time, so long and so consistently that people are like, they're taken back by your generosity. So that's really it. And Jamil and I together is like yin and yang. It's like fireworks and a match, and it's been a blast. So anyway, speaking of community, sorry for me going on long. I've got TTP, I've got Astro, and I've got Subto and Gators here in this park. 109 degrees. I'm gonna go say hi to them, give them hugs.
Awesome.
I just want to say I love you guys. I'm so grateful for both of you guys in my life, and I'm so grateful for you two. Our collective communities are leading this entire industry, and we are creating industry leaders. We're not creating followers, we're not creating an audience. We are creating leaders in this industry, and I'm just so proud of my brothers, and I'm so grateful that I get to do it with such amazing human beings. I love both of you guys. Thank you so much for all you do.
Love you too, bro. And
Go get them.
Go get them. Yeah, enjoy the meetup. Tell everybody that we love them, and we love you, brother. Go enjoy the heat.
Love you, brother. See you guys.
See you, bro.
See ya. You know what I think people should do?
Hmm.
I think that on your phone, you could start a local podcast, right? You want to meet all the movers and shakers. You want to meet the top people in doing whatever, whether it be flipping, whether it be buy and hold, whether it be wholesaling in your community. Invite them on the Phoenix Real Estate Investor Podcast or whatever, right?
Right. But Brent, I don't have money to put on a podcast.
I don't have professional microphones.
So you want to know something? It's interesting. When we were at the Montana meetup,
Yeah.
I did a talk.
Mhm.
My talk was 10 ways to make $250,000 this year with your title company.
Love it.
Okay. For example, I'm going to give one of those right here.
Yeah.
Your title company absolutely wants to market.
Mhm.
They need to market.
Yep.
They want to market, and they want to be able to help them put themselves out in front of more eyeballs, in front of more investors to do more business so that they can grow. Now, they have budgets to allow them and to help them do that. One of the ways that you can leverage a title company and do business with them is to say, listen, I would love to create a local show where I interviewed some of the top investors in Arizona or in Florida or wherever you are, and bring them to have this conversation so we can meet them.
Yep.
But B, to try to bring them into your title company to do some business with them. But either way, if you've got them and you've got your big Fidelity logo here or whatever title company you are, you're now a part of that conversation.
Mhm.
And guess what the title company will do? Cover the expenses for that.
They'll sponsor it.
Oh, they will sponsor it, and
yeah.
they'll write a check.
They'll introduce you.
A great check.
Yep.
And so I don't know if you guys have noticed, but every other Thursday at 5:00, I do a podcast called Title Talk.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Why would you do that, Jamil? You've got so many other things to do. Why would you do that?
To make more connections.
That's it.
To create more opportunities, to scratch my title company's back so they scratch my back more and more and more. Because every time I do something like this, it compounds into more and greater business. And when I can help my title company grow, they help me grow. And it's incredible that I get sponsored or potentially paid to do it.
Mhm.
Wow. Are you telling me this is real life? Yes, it is.
Not only that, but a really good escrow officer, Jamil. They'll save so many deals.
Big time.
Save so many deals. Dina, our escrow officer, she is gangster. She has got she goes like above and beyond. Like she's one of those, the escrow
the real
officers that
ones.
start at like 6:30 a.m.
And
go
they're
till
texting you at 10 o'clock
Yes.
at night from their personal cell phone. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what we have at my title company,
Mhm.
and you have the same thing too.
Yep.
I mean, look, this, and when I have a legal dispute, you know what I don't have to do?
Mhm.
Pay lawyers.
Mhm.
Guess what I get to do? I get to call my title company and I say, hey, put me in touch with legal.
Yep.
Why? I got this problem. No problem.
Yep.
Now, instead of me having to wire in $5,000 to get a response from an attorney to get a question answered, I get to call one of the top attorneys in real estate investing in the entire country and get to speak to him for free. Guys,
That'd be a good person to interview on a podcast.
you don't say.
Can you imagine asking every real estate question to the top attorney? I mean, you just listen. If you have a podcast, it's a cheat code. You can interview anybody. People want to be on there. They'll share hours, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of true value by you just starting a podcast, a local podcast. I think it's so powerful. I think more people should do it, not as a distraction, but as a marketing tool.
1000%.
As a way to really build up your network and really just find some great opportunities. You should consider it an investment of your time and resources. And one, it's going to make you a far better communicator. Because you're going to actually learn how to listen, because you can't just talk over everybody. And two, you're going to meet the most incredible people in your marketplace that'll share their story, share what they do, share how they find deals. I love you on podcasts. You're one of my favorite. But whenever we get, last week was on RJ Bates.
Yeah.
And we're like, how much does it cost you? How many deals? How many of those do you cancel? How many of those to go through? How do you, bro? Like everything, you could go back to last week's interview with RJ Bates and then that 10-minute section, you could get $1 million business plan.
Big time.
Right there.
Big time. I grilled him on everything. Like every question that I think anybody would have in the back of their brain. Did you do this business enough? You'd understand.
Prove it.
And bro, he had every answer. Why? Mm-hmm. Because he's real. Because he didn't come on here with a bag of tricks.
Yeah.
He came in here and he showed us what was going on in his world.
Yeah.
Which is all we try to bring you guys when we do this.
Well, Bobby does this with his the BMX guys. He gets everybody on there.
Yeah.
Right?
He's also
all these world famous.
He's also a world famous BMXer. We don't give him any credit for that. But Bobby Canode is one of the greats in BMX. He just he ended up, you don't really make a lot of money in BMX.
Yeah.
And so, Bobby had to, unfortunately, come work with me.
Yeah.
But
good for you.
Good for me, but BMX is still his whole life. He loves it, right? So, and he's one of the best riders in the world.
Do we have we got 4-starred question, guys. If you guys have questions about anything, about wholesaling, about finding deals, about negotiating, about starting a podcast, about whatever it is, put it in the comments section, and we're going to answer that. We've got a solid, 43 minutes to go here, so let's rock.
I want to tell you about something that I'm going to be doing here while we're getting the questions up.
Let's go.
So either October, November, I'm gonna leave my home.
Okay.
And I'm gonna move to another city.
Okay.
Just for a week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to a new city, that new city, and I'm going to start with no contacts. I'm just going to have my cell phone.
Yep.
But I'm going to have access to Facebook, and I'm going to have access to social media. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to start from scratch. And in that 7 days, I'm going to count how many deals I'm able to complete.
Love it.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to partner with somebody in that town, and I'm going to either give them all of the proceeds that I make on all of those deals so that they can get their business started, or we will collectively donate all that money to fight homelessness.
Awesome.
And so if you guys would like to have me do that in your city, I'm trying to decide right now which town I want to go to. I'd love to hear from you as to what town I should do it in. So send me a DM, and don't blow this chat up, because we want this chat full of questions for Wholesale Hotline. Just send me a DM on IG and let me know if you want me to come to your town.
Awesome. All right, let's get into this. Nicholas Allen, any tips on getting dead leads from wholesalers to convert to creative deals? What would entice a wholesaler to give me the leads? I love it. Well, first of all, listen, it's going to be a volume game, Nicholas. You're going to have to talk to a lot of people. Don't just get stuck. If one person's like, yeah, I can give you that, and they don't, just keep going. So you're going to have to find an alignment with somebody, the approach, alignment with somebody that has those, and you're going to have to be really proactive. You're going to have to convince them that you're going to actually do something with them. What's in it for them? What are they going to get out of it? Are they going to get What are they going to get out of the creative deals? Are you selling those creative deals? Are you holding those creative deals? Are they going to get ownership? Or are you going to pay them per? How are you going to be able to compensate them for that?
Yeah, I think ultimately what ends up happening here, Nicholas, is that very few people actually do what they say they're going to do.
Yep.
Right. And so how many creative finance investors have said, send me your dead leads? Send me your dead leads. And then you send them your dead leads, and then you never hear from them again.
Yep.
And so I think the way that, and that's probably if you're hearing or not hearing back from people that you're pitching to send their dead leads to you, it's probably because they've heard this over again
Yep.
and they've heard it before. So find a unique value proposition for that. Figure out a plan that's going to make them believe you.
Awesome. Orod, what would be the best way to start the conversation?
What's the conversation? Which conversation?
Which conversation? Let's say with the property owner. Say that you're talking.
What's your favorite
you're
opener on a property owner?
You're just going to reach out to a random property owner.
Let's pretend my name is John Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hey.
Hi, I was looking for John.
Who's this?
Hi, my name is Brent Daniels. I know that this is completely random, but I was calling about your property on 1212 Banana Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and see if you would consider an offer on your property there.
Well, we've thought about, doing something with it, but I'm not quite sure it's the right time. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, listen, we buy properties in that area, and I would just have to ask you a couple questions about the condition of the property, and and put together a fair offer for you, something for you to at least consider.
I mean, I'm open to hearing from you and talking about it. Sure. What are the questions?
Yeah. What have you done any major remodeling to your kitchen and bath in the last 5 years or so?
I did a little bit of it myself. Yeah, I think I've done a pretty good job.
Amazing. What have you done?
Well, I cleaned my kitchen cabinets out real well, and then I put a really nice lacquer on them, so you wouldn't even be able to tell that they're not brand new. I mean,
awesome.
they're as shiny as my bald head.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What about the floors?
I wouldn't eat on them.
You wouldn't eat on them. They'd need to be replaced, you think?
They something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. And we typically can buy your property in 2 weeks to 30 days. Do you think that would work for you?
Oh boy. Possibly. I think, we're having a pretty detailed conversation here that's moving a little fast for me, but
Sure.
I think I need to, think about when I could make this move and carry this conversation on once I have those decisions figured out. But
not a problem. No pressure here. We've been in business for 19 years. We're going to be in business for a lot longer. I just wanted to, call and see if you would consider an offer on your property. If you did sell it, where do you think you would move to next?
Oh, that's an even bigger question. I'm looking at a couple of different cities, and I'm not quite sure if I want to retire or ask if my company wants to give me a relocation. So there's a couple of moving pieces there that I need to figure out, but somewhere warmer.
Have you ever considered just a private sale, or do you think when you do make the decision, it's probably best for you to just put it on the market?
It really all just depends on what you can offer me and what I can put in my pocket, and that's what's fair. I don't necessarily think it matters how it sells. I think it just matters that I get as much as I can for it.
And is there any major repairs you think need to be done to the property?
You'd need to see that.
Okay. Well, I'm actually in your neighborhood at 2:00 today. Are you available if I just pop by and introduce myself?
Sure. Come on through.
Awesome.
I mean,
again, my name is Brent Daniels, just so that we're not meeting as strangers when we meet at the property. If you could just save my number here as Brent Homebuyer, and I'll plan on being there at 2:00, and I'll introduce myself, and we'll go from there. Is that fair enough?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
I mean, that's great. And guys, look, we role played it for you, but the what was the purpose of it? Is that the conversation? Brent was very kind. He had a good tone. He wasn't pushy. He wasn't salesy. He wasn't anything other than just inquisitive and trying to connect to me, trying to ask the pertinent questions, but wasn't trying to be pushy. But you notice how he didn't let me off the hook. I was trying to get off the hook the entire time we were on the phone there to push this conversation down the road. Why is that? Why it is that sellers do that? But because everything that is important to do, most people procrastinate doing it. Yeah. And selling your house and dealing with that, it means I'm going to need to pack. It means I'm going to need to move. It means I'm going to need to carry my life forward, which is stressful and could create a little bit of anxiety in me, right? Yeah. And so that's normal, right? And Brent And the way that he was qualifying that conversation, he was aligning to me, he was mirroring me, matching my tone, but wasn't letting me off the hook. As a fine example of how you should be approaching your homeowner conversations. Great, Brent.
Every conversation centers around the condition, the timeline, the motivation, and the price.
Correct.
Every conversation. So one, I want to know if you've made the decision that you're going to sell your property. That's why I ask you a yes/no question off the bat. It's not sales 101. Sales 101 is who, what, when, where, how, right? Open-ended questions that get them going. But I want to know up front if you would consider an offer on your property. Whenever you say consider, people are like, okay, that's not too aggressive. Yes, no. If they're like, no, go away, boom, that's done, right? And then I would say, I completely understand. Do you have any other properties that you would consider an offer on? Maybe even a piece of land, right? So whenever you ask somebody if they would consider an offer on their property, there's only 6 responses that you're going to get. Yes, no, maybe in the future. How much will you give me? Who are you? And how'd you get my number? That's it. That's the 6 responses. You're going to get one form of those 6 responses, guys. You could get all the responses to those responses at wholesalinginc.com. Check it out. But as long as you know how to respond to that, you can keep the conversation going. And what you're really looking for is somebody that does want to sell their property. They have made the decision, and then you're just trying to find out condition, timeline, motivation, price. And typically, if you start with the condition, what remodeling have you done to your kitchen and bathrooms in the last 5 years? That'll start lowering down the force field, and because everybody's got that up. You're interrupting people's day.
Yep.
You got to pull down that the wall around them brick by brick, and it happens with just a longer conversation. And I'm telling you guys, remember that tone of voice is your body language on the phone. Tone of voice is everything. Absolutely everything. And just look at all the psychology behind how much body language affects human communication.
Non-verbal communication, which includes body language, is how 90% of meaning is conveyed.
Yeah.
90% of meaning, guys. It means that the words mean nothing.
But if they can't see you,
and that's how
it's
how they hear you.
It's your tone and your pace.
Of course.
Yep. Awesome.
So Johnny Avila said, what qualifications are needed to determine if a good lead is a wholesale deal? Johnny, great question. I was on another call again today where somebody brought me a house built in 2017. I asked, hey, do you have photos of this house? And her answer was, yeah, it looks pretty good. And I said, well, I can tell you it very likely is not going to be a wholesale deal. Why is that? Because there's no opportunity for potential. Johnny, a wholesale deal predicates around there being potential. What can I do here? What's the next play? What added value can I bring to the table? How can I realize or create a higher and better use for the property, either by renovating it, by repositioning it and getting more money out of it for rent, or by adding value and creating, new square footage and changing the development potential of the house. So you have to be able to find potential. If there's no potential, there's no wholesale deal.
It's perfect. I love that you say that. I love that, because when I was a real estate agent and I was seeing people do deals, it was like, oh, they're stealing equity. You're not stealing equity. You're buying a property at its value. First, the buyer determines the value. One.
Correct.
Second, there has to be investment into this property to recognize the potential, right? So with investment becomes risk.
Yes. And you don't always win.
No.
No, I mean, look, when the market turned a little bit, I lost over $500,000 on my fix and flips. So every one of those sellers can I go now back to them and say, you owe me equity.
Yeah.
You should have sold me your house for a lot less money because the market changed in the middle of my renovation and I lost money and it's your fault. No. I'm a big boy. I lost money. Guess what? It didn't turn in my direction this time. Okay, homeowner, you did good. You got one. You got one on me. You got way more money than I would have been able to pay for it because I lost money on this. Congratulations. This is how the business works. Some days I'm going to win. Some days I'm going to lose. But that's the game I play.
Yeah, you walk into a house that's had literally million cigarettes smoked inside of it, and it's not going to be worth as much as the property that's completely renovated.
Of course
There's
not.
potential. That's what we're looking for. Potential. We're looking for those properties that need investment. That's it. We're looking for the properties that are problems for these people, and they want to get rid of them. And that's what we do. We go and we have a quality conversation. We find out the condition, timeline, motivation, price, and we make an offer based on those. And we find out, is this the best thing for them? Is this the best option? Is it cash as is the best option? Maybe you should invest a little bit of money and put it on the market.
Yeah.
Maybe you should rent this back out. Maybe you should like just slap it on the market as is. Whatever you want to do. Have you considered all these options? No, they're on Hell Island. They want to get to Heaven Island. There's a ton of different bridges to be able to cross there.
Some people say fast. Some people say I'll take the scenic route.
And listen, if people want to trade price, people every day, this is it. Every day, people out there, every second of every minute of every hour, people are trading price for speed and convenience.
Guys,
They are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the chat,
Yep.
if you've ever traded in a car,
Oh, come on.
write WH
Yeah.
in the chat. If you've ever
If you've
traded
ever
in a
sold
car,
anything to a pawn shop, if you've ever sold anything at a garage sale, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
right? That's the thing. I
Yeah.
mean, look, every vehicle I've ever sold, I took the speed and convenience solution.
Mhm.
I went to CarMax. I went to the dealership. I was like, here, I'm trading it in. Oh, well, for your trade-in, yeah, I looked at Kelly Blue Book, said my trade-in should be about 60,000. Yeah, we got about 42.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Kelly Blue Book says 60. You say 42. Why? And why am I taking it? Well, because you know that we're a business and we need to make money. Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Mhm.
That's the reason why businesses are formed.
Speed and convenience.
That's what it is, guys.
That's
If
it.
I wanted to sell the house on Craigslist or the car myself on Craigslist, I would.
Mhm.
But I choose not to. I trade equity. I trade a little bit of what my potential upside could be just to get it done. It's not rocket science. It's what happens,
Yeah.
right? I wanted to just point out, guys, we've got 550 live eyeballs here, near 170 of you watching from me, Brent, Pace, all split up all over the place, but not enough of you are hitting the like button. Please hit the like button. It's very helpful to Wholesale Hotline when you do this. It lets people who are the elves at YouTube know that there's people getting value from this. So it's the best way for you to exchange value with us is by hitting like.
And remember, guys, this is available in podcast form. We put out new content every single day, 7 days a week, between myself, Jamil, Pace, and Jerry Norton, all on Wholesale Hotline. You can find it anywhere, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Definitely check it out. And if you have 30 seconds, we would love a review.
Oh,
Love a review.
yeah.
Because it just opens it up to more people. The more people that we can get listening to this message of going out and serving the real estate community that oftentimes people have just forgotten about, the more opportunities we're going to find, and the more deals you're gonna be able to do. So it's a win-win-win across the board. What's next, Matt? Fearless content. I have a deal at $15K. Seller signed. ARV is about $135, $150. But due to missed tax payments, they owe $75K from interest on those payments. Is the deal dead, or can the city remove tax liens? Oh, the city's going to get paid.
The city's going to get paid for sure. Can you negotiate those tax liens? It's not going to be very easy to do.
Depending on the county.
Mm-hmm. It's possible, but I would just assume that you won't. Okay, I would assume that you have to eat the $75K, and so that's going to take you to a total cost basis of $90. If you buy the deal at $90,000, and the ARV is $150, is there still a deal there? That's the question you need to ask. I don't necessarily know if the seller is entitled to $15,000 with $75,000 in tax payments due. Maybe you got to get the seller down a little bit more, or you got to go and try to negotiate with the county to see if you can get the taxes down. But again, here in Arizona, you send me an ARV of $150 and the cost is $90K, I'm a buyer. That's just an AZ though. Phoenix.
Yeah, depends on
the condition.
The condition.
But yes.
Yep. Awesome. The real Caleb
asked, what is a typical time it takes to do a title search. I was told 2 to 3 weeks from my title company today, and now I wonder, do I need more than 30 days to close a wholesale? If not, if so, Caleb, find a new title company, my friend. A title search can get done in 2 to 3 days, typically on the long end, and in a few hours if they rush it. So you definitely are working with it. Here's what I think's happening. Your title company probably is very overwhelmed. They don't have enough people working there, and their timeline to get you a title report is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. That's not how long it takes to get the title report. So if you don't have a title company that you like in your local area, you can always reach out to titletalk@fnf.com. That's titletalk@fnf.com. Email Dina and see if she can introduce you to somebody in your area that can help you with a wholesale or creative deal.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you guys pull title in that deal we were talking about?
Yeah.
With the 2 memorandums?
So,
You want to come here? Come here. Say hi to everybody. Come tell them what it was. Come here. Introduce yourself. Come on. Get close. There we go.
What's up?
Go ahead. Tell them.
so
Real close, right here.
okay.
Yep.
So this deal that we got, we found out that the seller had previously tried to sell it to 2 big wholesaling companies, and both of them filed memorandums on it. One's a huge cash offer, and then the other one I'm not sure.
I think it was just like a random little wholesaler too.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was weird because the seller that we went through didn't sign those memorandums. It was the seller who sold that seller the property. So we're a little bit confused on how our seller even has a title in his name if the memorandums are filed with someone else.
Company say?
Title, we work with Trana Bros, so we work with Magnus. They're trying to figure it out as well. So they're a little bit, even Joe's confused. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much
Yeah,
for that.
Thank you guys.
You guys are doing
Wait,
deals in
tell 'em
Arizona.
who you are.
Yeah, who are you?
I'm Nate Longfellow. That is Nate_Longfellow on IG.
I'm Cody Iverson _ on Instagram.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Good to meet you guys. Keep
Yeah.
working hard.
There you go.
Nice to meet you both. So my understanding, if I can get this correct, they have a seller who signed a contract with them, but a seller before them had sold it to a couple of other people.
Yeah.
So the new seller is not who signed the purchase and sale agreement. It was the first seller.
Yeah. The new seller told us that the old seller went to jail or something, so the house got.
So they quit claimed it.
Oh, it was a quit claim deed.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a quit claim deed without title.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you want my real opinion? Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to close that.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Because when you do a quit claim deed, very few title companies will insure that title because they don't understand how the title transferred and they can't get clarity on how the title transferred. And so the memorandums I'm less concerned with than I am the transfer of title. If you can get a title company to insure the title, memorandums, you can either reach out to the wholesalers that were in contract and see if they want to play ball and what they would want to get from the deal in order to walk away. Or if they inappropriately or incorrectly recorded the memorandum without a disclosure, which they need to do in Arizona, the title company will discharge the memorandum because it's an illegal memorandum. So that's a possibility. We need to find out, was the memorandum recorded correctly, legally, and justly? And if it was, then what does that wholesaler want? And if not, we can discharge.
So one of them wants $20,000, but we're not 100% sure if their memorandum is even valid. Brandon was telling me that in order for it to not expire, it has to be written up correctly, like realtors.
It's exactly what I was just saying. So you don't know if it's valid or not, right?
Have the attorney tell you.
Yeah, the attorney will have to look at it.
All right. What's next? I have deals approved by hard money, but I need the back end closing cost and the 25%. How do you get that? From Jeffrey Long. Well, it depends on what kind of deal you're doing. Is this a flip? Are you going to flip this property? Why not lock it up and sell it to somebody that already has the 25% until you have the 25% to be able to do these deals yourself?
Right. Yeah, Jeffrey, you could potentially work with a private money lender. Again, you would you would really need to have a compelling deal for a private money lender to want to come in and give you the 25%. Because understand, Jeff, you don't have any skin in the game, and that just makes it a little bit more risky for somebody to come into the table to give you money. Now, risk diminishes significantly with experience.
Mhm.
So, for instance, Pace Morby comes to me and says, "Hey, I want a private money loan so I can get into a deal." Is he going to get a private money loan from me so he can be into a deal for no money? Yeah. Why? He's experienced. And that's for many experienced investors. I'd have the same approach. So I don't know, Jeff, if you have experience or not, but if you are experienced and you know how you can approach this deal and you've got a good plan of action, there's a good chance you can raise the 25% from a private money lender. Otherwise, it's going to be your job to figure out how to get that money. And a lot of people who first get started in real estate and need to get the 25% down that you're looking for to buy a deal, make that money through wholesale.
Jeffrey, imagine if you could show somebody that you're raising private funds from the last 10 discounted deals that you found and that you wholesaled. Even if you make 1,000, even if you make 5,000, even if you make 8,000, whatever it is, but that you show a track record that you can find discounted properties, that's way more powerful to raise funds, because one, you have the experience, and two, you know how to value these properties.
Right.
The issue that you run into with raising funds oftentimes is you don't know if it's deal or not a deal.
Yeah, and more often if I'm in a private money position when I am approached, right?
Mhm.
The reason why I'll say no is because they've approached me wanting to raise money for something that's not a deal.
Yeah.
And then that's when I question their experience. That's when I question whether or not they care about my money. Because an investor, when you give an investor money, the one thing they want you to care about is their money as much as they do, right? And so, what are you bringing to the table to make sure that I'm being protected?
Love it. Awesome.
Ooh, Joel asked, how you doing, Joel, by the way?
What's up, Joel?
Jamil and Brent, what's your advice on marriage and relationships? I'm going to start with you.
Oh, thanks. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't know, Joel. I really don't. I've been married once before and engaged a second time, and then married my wife and found her. So it took me a while. It was a lot of prospecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It was a lot of trial and error. I think that there's some fundamental parts to marriage that are really important. One being faith. If you're into that, but I think that it's important, at least in my relationship. I think being on the same page on how you raise your children, and just making sure that you date each other always.
That's great.
You know what I mean? So I think it's important to date your wife. This might not be the most eloquent relationship advice, but I think that there has to be time spent in the relationship itself, especially once there's a lot of other distractions. Children, certainly, and being an entrepreneur is like having another child. It truly is. I mean, it's always on your mind. You're always thinking about it and doing that. So what I always found was being able to turn completely off, being in the moment with my wife, having a bunch of fun, and just being us and finding that time. So that's my marriage. And then my relationship advice with everything else is don't be an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that works.
Like life is so short, and we have the ability to go out and either be positive or negative every single day. And it's a choice that you make. And whenever you're feeling the negativity bubble up, you have to have something inside you that pushes it down, that dissolves it. Because we don't have a tremendous amount of time. I mean, we think we do, but then you look up and you're 42 and 44 and you're like, holy cow.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, it's going fast. You know what I mean? And so I think being really present, I think not being an asshole, I think keep your ego in check, and try to give more than you take.
Beautiful advice.
And be really good in bed, like really, really good in bed. That's like super important. Just really, really be good. Really do whatever you can to Satisfy.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. So
Yeah.
my one piece of advice that I can give outside from everything that Brent just said, including his last one, is you have to love the person that you're with unconditionally as they are. I think too many of us get into relationships where we're hoping that people are going to change, or that they're going to do something different one day, or they're going to be somebody different one day, or that life is going to magically evolve the relationship into better finances, better friendships, and more fun in bed, or whatever it is. But the fact is that you are who you are, and they are who they are, and you either adore that person for every bit of their impressiveness and for every ounce of their blemish, and love them as is, and if you can do that, then you can have a healthy, long-lasting, loving relationship. When you're both old and gross, and you're farting in bed, and she's farting in bed, and everything is just what it is, but you can still just really enjoy each other and really love each other. I think that's the most important thing that I found in my life, was total acceptance. And if I'm in a relationship where there's not total acceptance between her to me or me to her, I'm probably not in the right one.
Yeah. Awesome. Arif, how many calls on average do you speak with homeowners before closing on the property? So typically it's 200, right? And listen, you got to filter down every property, right? There's 143 million residential properties and counting, and filter that down to the 6 to 10% that's in distress. So you want the 6 to 10% that's in distress, and then have as many conversations as you can. And typically, if you talk to 200 people and you're communicating and you're getting into a really good rhythm, and you're using your tone of voice to make them feel comfortable, you're going to get a deal. Even if you don't, I mean, it's a numbers game, but typically it's 200 conversations to one deal. Here's the trick. Here's the sneaky part about it, is it takes 90 days typically. From the time that you talk to them for the first, if you're being proactive, if you're reaching out to them, if you're initiating the conversation, it takes 90 days on average from the first time that you talk to them to the time that you get paid. And so it's that 90-day make or break, right? And mentally it's like, you really have to just stay focused on the task at hand. Just focus on doing your job that day. Because if you think too far ahead and if you think too far behind, it's not going to happen. You got to do your job that day. Just do your job that day. Just talk to as many people as you can today, and then do it again tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day, and the next day. But you got to be really strong. That's why community matters. That's why being around people that are going to support you matters, because there's going to be thoughts that creep into your head and hallucinations that creep into your head that's going to tell you, well, I don't want to do this. I want to find something else. I'm going to go Forex trade, or I'm going to do drop shipping, or I'm going to do whatever it is now. What do kids do these days? I don't know. Some other quick business that's up and running or whatever else. But I'm telling you,
YouTube automation.
Sure.
Make funny sounds on TikTok.
Sure. Or what do? They do like fake people now, whatever. Anyway, just do your job. And by the way, building your skill, it's going to be, it's not the easiest thing. Change is hard. But once you have that skill, it's something that nobody can take away from you. It doesn't matter if you get sick. It doesn't matter if you have something that happens in your life. It doesn't matter if for some reason you lose all your money. You have your skills, and really the skills is what builds you the fortune. And being a person that can be a millionaire, and being a person that can be a multimillionaire, that takes change, and that takes a lot of work and skill. And so just enjoy the journey. We call it progress, not perfection. Right? Just keep going. Just keep moving it forward.
Beautiful.
Same agents?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, nothing really different there. It's just a different conversation, but it's still going to require outbound prospecting. It's still going to require tremendous follow-up. It's still going to require the same fundamentals. And so, it's just a different avatar. That's all. AJ Lee said, "Peace, brother. Just started my LLC, looking into EIN and DUNS number, and looking to build business credit. What's your advice? Well, I mean, I work with a good company to help me. I think PCS has been a great company to help with business credit. I would absolutely highly recommend people look into business credit when they're first getting started, so you've got access to funds, but also be very mindful of where those funds are going. You know, I think that as soon as you get started in wholesale, what ends up happening is there's going to be every opportunity for you to spend your money that fast. Pay-per-click's going to pop up. This is going to pop up. That's going to pop up. This is going to pop up. That's going to pop up. And all of a sudden you're going to be like, I have all the things and I have no deals.
Mm-hmm.
So AJ, I would say just be really careful with your business credit. Make sure that you're applying it to things that move the needle. I said this in my community the other day, is everything that you buy, because, you know, things, look, Privy, phenomenal, right? But ask yourself, what do I use it for?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then give your use cases. Oh, my Privy, I'm using it to find on-market deals. I'm using it to comp properties, and I'm using it to identify buyers. Phenomenal. You have a use case for it. You know you use it. You need it. Okay, Astro Blaster, what do you use it for? I use it to do agent outreach, and I use it to automate my follow-ups. Phenomenal. It has a use case. What about this thing? I don't know what I use that for. Cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
What about this? Oh, I use this for skip trace. Great. Could there be a better option or a better solution that doesn't require you to spend this much money? I don't know. Investigate. Put it on the shelf, investigate, and find if there's a solution. What I mean is, it's really important that you see a use case for everything you spend money on that's immediately helping you. Otherwise, it's not necessary right now. What do you think?
AJ, I made $250,000 in wholesaling with a 400 credit score.
400 credit score, and you didn't spend a dime.
I didn't spend a dime. I didn't have an LLC set up. I didn't have an EIN. I didn't have business credit. I didn't have any. I couldn't even get a checking account for a while. I had to get like you send in $1,000 and we'll hold it here to make sure you don't overdraft to get a bank account. So that's I'm glad you have all that set up, but lead generation, bro. That's it.
Yep.
Like, go talk to people.
What you've done right now is productive distraction.
Yeah, creative avoidance.
You need all these things. They're necessary and at some point. But, you know, I really think what's super important is really focusing, instead of like my brand, my business card, my website, my CRM, my LLC, my EIN, my DUNS, all the – no. How many calls did I have today?
Yeah.
How many prospects did I put into my –
and he's probably doing
you know,
it.
But these are the things. These are the things, right, AJ?
Mm-hmm.
Is focus on what's going to move the needle.
And we're not even talking to you, AJ, at this point. We're talking to everybody.
Yeah.
So this isn't just on you, AJ. But yeah, I did my first $1 million without a CRM. I just printed out paper, wrote on lead sheets that I had created and put it in an accordion binder that had January through December was one of them and 1 through 31. So I knew if it was August 9th, I pulled it out, 9th day of the month, I'm calling all these leads, following up, setting appointments, and locking up opportunities. So
truly, in my phone, I used to say, I put the first name and the last name of the realtor, and I would say, okay, let's just say Monique Walker, agent, good. Or if it was a bad one, I'd say Monique Walker, agent, bad. And so now everybody who's in my phone as good, okay, they get a text message saying, hey, anything coming to market that's in original condition I can look at before you list it today? Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy. That's how I used to work.
Can you say that line again?
Anything coming to market in original condition or needing work that I can look at before you list it?
Do you guys think you should write that down? Can somebody write that down in the chat so that it's recorded till the end of YouTube?
Till the end of YouTube. Yeah.
There you go. That was brilliant. I love that. Awesome. Steven, Brent Jamil, what do you tell a seller when you want to get somebody from a Facebook group or Craigslist to go take photos of the property when you were doing a virtual deal? I'm going to send my guy over to take some pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about expectations, Steven. So then you go through the process. You know, right now, okay, as soon as we sign the agreement, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to send my guy or gal over to come take pictures. I'm going to need to get a bunch of people in there to check out the property. It's going to be a circus, but give me 2 hours. Does Thursday at 3 to 5 o'clock make sense for you guys? Can you open it up then? And then we'll be out of your hair. Like, just set the expectations. Don't just send some random person over to take pictures.
And then also with your buyers and with the people that you have going and taking photos, set expectations with them as well, because I think what tends to happen is you'll do a good job telling the seller, hey, I'm going to send somebody over, but then you're not coaching the buyer or your photographer on what the do's and don'ts are, right? Like, your photographer shouldn't show up and be like, so what am I doing here? What's going on? Oh, I didn't even know that I was here to take photos like he said he was going to put it on the internet. He needs pictures. I need to see everything that's wrong. Like, really say what you're doing. Be like, listen, these are look, I have a photo shot list. You need a shot list of what photos to send? DM me on Instagram. Nino will send you a shot list. The photo shot list, that's what you should be giving your photographers. And then those are the pictures that they're supposed to take.
Awesome.
That's it.
Remember, Steven, and everybody, we're truth tellers and truth seekers. So just tell them what to expect. It's when they don't understand what the process is that you really run into issues, right? And if you just sign the agreement, now they're like, no. It depends, right? If they're like, I don't want anybody through the property, I don't want any pictures, then you're going to have to get it at a price that you're comfortable with.
Sight unseen, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to negotiate that. But most of the time, people are very reasonable and they'll give you access. And if not, then let the price reflect your decision there. I've
done a lot of wholesale deals, and I've bought sight unseen, and you got to be really careful with that, right? Because it's oftentimes when a seller is being really hard to get in and saying, no, I won't let you in until you buy it. There's something in there, right? One of the times, I won't say the name of the wholesaler, but he knows who it is. Local guy here sold me a house on Utopia Street. You know who you are. And he presented it as a 3-bed, 2-bath. And it ultimately was a 2-bed, 1-bath. You know who you are. And that we ended up losing tens of thousands of dollars on that transaction because we were completely lied to. I had another seller who said, hey, I'm not going to let you into the house until after you close. I looked at the tax records, all the measurements checked out. We looked at as much as we could from Google Street View and like seeing, the satellite images is like, does this, like, looking at the perimeter, like, does the square footage match up? We were like, drawing the line around to scale to see what's the square footage like. And it all lined up.
Yeah.
Until we got into the house, and there were snakes in the house, not just 1 or 2 snakes, thousands of snakes in the house. There were snakes in the roof. There were snakes in the toilet. There were snakes in the tub. There were snakes in the floor. Snakes. Snakes. Doesn't matter. And bro, when Rahima went there to go start the renovation, she opened the doors and the snakes left the house and they slithered up the walls, up outside into the backyard, into the pool, up our fences, and then into the neighbors' pools. And then that became a real situation for us.
Pissed.
So mad. They were
snakes in my pool.
So mad, dude. We had so much damage control to do in that house. It was incredible.
That's incredible. Right,
so sight unseen might be buying some snakes.
One more question. Pick it well, Matt. All right, he's taking his time. This is going to be a good one. Go to Michael Reyes one. And this is a little bit okay. So, in the Rhino Tribe, I have a suggestion, a very strong suggestion for everybody that's a real estate entrepreneur, that until you have $300,000 cash after taxes in an account, do not buy a rental property. Okay. And the reason I say that, and that's controversial, and that's against Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's against real estate investing and all this and that. But I truly believe that if you have the discipline to save $300,000 cash, one, you're going to purchase a really good, you're going to build a really good portfolio of properties. Two, I want you to build the machine that is going to find you the best opportunities. And that is a wholesaling business. Do not get it twisted up. A rental portfolio is a business, fix and flip is a business, and wholesale is a business.
Right.
And if you try to do all three, which we know plenty of people that do, this is why 20% of people that start this business actually go full-time, and then only 20% of them actually stay full-time. And it's because Everybody gets shiny object. Everybody wants to go buy that rental property. And then when you buy that rental property, all of a sudden you're doing these things and your tension's over here. You stop your wholesaling business. When you stop that wholesaling business, all of a sudden you got to restart that up again, and you're 90 days behind. And then all of a sudden your expenses start piling and everything. So
then you're back at your W-2 job.
now you're back at your W-2 job. Question. All right, let me answer this, and then I'll answer that one. So he is now. Michael says, but I have an opportunity to buy a house to live in. ARV is about 275 or higher. I'm trying to get it for 120. Should I do it? Sure. I think if you're going to live in it, go bananas. I don't think that that's too big of a distraction for you to own a property and live in a property. I'm talking about going out and buying rental properties, rental portfolios before you've got a cash machine set up. And that's what wholesaling is.
I mean, to be devil's advocate here too,
Yep.
Michael, I mean, look, it sounds to me like you've got about a $20,000 wholesale fee. You could look at any house that you can get good numbers on should I do it? Yeah, you should do it.
As long as it doesn't need a lot of repairs.
Right. But I mean, look, bottom line is, bro, here's what's going to happen right now. You're passing up a tremendous wholesale opportunity that could put $25,000 in the bank to live in the house. I didn't live in my house until I didn't live.
You're more gangster than I am in this. I love it.
Yeah, I wasn't living it, bro. I rented my house. I rented my house until I had millions in the bank.
Millions.
I was a multi-millionaire and I was paying $2,800 a month in rent. I'm like,
It was renting.
Yeah, I was happy as a pig in shit. And it wasn't until I built my own house and I owned my own house outright in cash, and I still had millions in the bank where I was like, fine, I'll own it.
So the question was, after you have 300,000 in an account, and you could buy it cash, you could get leverage on it. It's up to you. It just depends. But what I would say is, I would not build a rental portfolio until you're almost all the way out of your wholesaling business, where you're working more on it, not in it. You've replaced yourself. You fired yourself from certain roles. Jamil was hustling all the time. Jamil was texting everybody, getting the deals, selling the deals, working the deals, getting paid, bringing it all in. And then once he was able to replace himself, then he's building the house. Then he's getting into all those things. But it's a huge distraction. If you don't think, properties are like a living, breathing thing. If you don't take care of them, look, then we buy them.
If he buys this, right? He buys this, and then he ultimately fixes it up. You know what kind of? And then you're gonna live in it. Look, for every house I've ever fixed up to live in versus every house we fixed up to sell, the amount of personal anguish, anxiety, and just frustration and stress is completely different. When I built my personal house, it was my personal hell. When I fix and flip a house of that price point, I don't care. I barely even show up. Right? Why? Because it's not going to be the toilet I poop on. So this is the thing, right? When you're doing what you're doing right now, you got to understand, what's this going to take from me? What is it going to suck away from my life? Bro, take the $20,000, put the wholesale fee in your bank, do that again. You should be looking for deals that you are so good you want to live in them. Every deal should give you that feeling, so that's what you sell to your buyers, so you feel dang good about the quality of product you're putting out there in the world.
Awesome. Great show. Great show. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining us. If you have not subscribed to each of our channels, Pace Morby, Jamil Damji, Brent Daniels, go and subscribe to all of our channels. You'll get something in each and every one of them. We love you guys. Go out there and find a big old massive deal. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say that thing.
Why?
I don't know. I
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.